Imagine a quiet evening. The sun has dipped behind the trees, painting the sky with soft hues of orange and pink. Inside a cozy home, a mother sits beside her child's bed, gently brushing stray strands of hair from their forehead. The child stirs, whispering a question that lingers in the air. "Mom, do you love me even when I make mistakes?" The mother smiles, her heart aching with tenderness. "Oh, sweetheart, always," she whispers, pressing a kiss to their forehead. This moment is simple yet profound. It holds the essence of what parenting truly is, not just guiding, disciplining, or providing, but loving. Deeply, fully, even in the face of tantrums, spilled juice, and sleepless nights. Parenting is not just about rules and responsibilities, it is about relationship. And at the core of that relationship is love. The kind of love that is patient when a toddler refuses to wear shoes, kind when a teenager slams the door, and unwavering even when our own hearts feel weary. But how do we parent with this kind of love? How do we stay present and mindful when the days are long, the to-do lists are endless, and the demands feel overwhelming? This book is an invitation to step away from perfection and into presence. An invitation to embrace the messy, beautiful journey of raising children, not with fear or frustration, but with grace, wisdom, and love. Together, we will walk through real-life stories of parents just like you. And we will discover simple, practical lessons to help us nurture not just our children's growth, but our own hearts as well. Because, in the end, all we really need is love. The first anchor, connect. Parenting begins with connection. Before discipline, before lessons, before guidance, there is connection. It is the foundation upon which everything else is built. It is what makes a child feel safe, seen, and loved. Imagine a child lost in a busy marketplace, their small hands reaching out, eyes darting in panic, searching for a familiar face. And then, suddenly, they see their parents' eyes locking onto theirs, arms outstretched. Relief floods their little body, and in that moment, everything is right again. That is the power of connection, a deep, invisible thread that binds parent and child, anchoring them in love and safety. The gift of being present. In our fast-paced, screen-filled world, being present is harder than it seems. We may be physically in the same room as our children, but are we truly present? Are we listening, not just with our ears, but with our hearts? Or are we scrolling through our phones, lost in work, or distracted by 100 different thoughts? Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me." Matthew 19, verse 14. He did not rush them, dismiss them, or view them as interruptions. He welcomed them with open arms, giving them his full attention. As parents, we are called to do the same, to pause, to look into our child's eyes, and to be fully present in the moment. A mother once shared a story of her 5-year-old son tugging at her sleeve while she was busy cooking dinner. "Mommy, will you play with me?" he asked. She sighed, exhausted from the day's work. "Not now, sweetheart, I'm busy." The little boy hesitated and then quietly asked, "Mommy, when will you not be busy?" That question stopped her in her tracks. She knelt down, looked into her son's eyes, and said, "Right now." The food could wait. The emails could wait. But this moment with her child? That was irreplaceable. Love in the everyday moments. Connection is not just built in grand gestures. It is woven into the small, everyday moments. It is in the way we greet our children in the morning, the way we tuck them in at night, the way we smile at them when they enter the room. A father once made it a habit to leave little notes in his daughter's lunchbox. Simple messages like, "You are my sunshine," or "I love you to the moon and back." Years later, when his daughter went away to college, he found a shoebox in her room filled with all those notes. "Whenever I had a bad day, I'd read them," she told him. "They reminded me I was loved." We may think children forget the small things, but they don't. A gentle touch, a kind word, a shared laugh. These are the things that stay with them, shaping how they see the world and their place in it. Speaking your child's love language. Every child feels love differently. Dr. Gary Chapman, in his book The 5 Love Languages of Children, explains that children, like adults, have unique ways of receiving love. Words of affirmation. Some children thrive on verbal expressions of love, simple phrases like, "I'm so proud of you," or "You are so special to me." Acts of service. For others, love is felt through actions, helping with their homework, fixing a broken toy, or making their favorite meal. Quality time. Some children feel most loved when they have undivided attention, playing a game, taking a walk, or reading a book together. Gifts. A small, thoughtful gift, a handmade card, a favorite snack, can mean the world to a child whose love language is gifts. Physical touch. Hugs, cuddles, holding hands. These forms of connection provide deep security for children who feel love through touch. The key is to understand how our children receive love and to express it in a way that speaks directly to their heart. Repairing disconnected moments. There will be times when we fail, when we snap at our child, when we are too busy, when we let frustration get the best of us. But connection is not about perfection, it is about repair. The best gift we can give our children is not being perfect parents, but being parents who acknowledge when they've fallen short and make it right. A simple, "I'm sorry," can go a long way. A mother recalled a time when she lost her temper at her son over a spilled glass of juice. Later, she found him sitting alone, shoulders slumped. She sat beside him and said, "I'm sorry I yelled. That wasn't fair to you. The juice didn't matter, but you do." Her son looked up, eyes bright with relief, and hugged her. That moment of repair deepened their bond, more than 1,000 perfect moments ever could. Creating connection rituals. One of the most powerful ways to build connection is through rituals, small, intentional acts that create a sense of security and belonging. Morning check-ins, starting the day with a few minutes of undivided attention, whether through a hug, a prayer, or a shared breakfast, sets the tone for the day. Bedtime conversations, taking a few minutes each night to talk about the day, share gratitude, or simply cuddle strengthens emotional bonds. Family traditions, weekly game nights, Sunday pancakes, storytelling before bed. These small traditions create lasting memories and reinforce the family unit. The legacy of connection. One day, our children will grow up. They will step into the world, carrying with them everything we have poured into them. And what will they remember? Not the expensive toys, not the perfectly decorated rooms, but the feeling of being deeply loved and cherished. A man once shared that his father, though a busy doctor, always made time for him. Every night, no matter how late he got home, he would sit by my bed and ask about my day. He made me feel like I mattered. That's what I carry with me. As parents, our ultimate legacy is not in what we leave for our children, but in what we leave in them. When we choose connection, we give them the greatest gift of all, the unshakable knowledge that they are loved. So today, take a moment. Put down the phone, pause the chores, look into your child's eyes, and say, "I see you. You matter. I love you." Because in the end, all they really need is love. Principle 2, teach with grace. Parenting is a delicate balance between love, discipline, and wisdom. As parents, our job isn't simply to manage our children's behavior. It is to help them learn, grow, and ultimately make decisions that lead to life-affirming outcomes. But how do we teach with grace? How do we guide our children to understand right from wrong without crushing their spirits? The second principle of mindful parenting is teaching with grace. This means disciplining our children in a way that emphasizes love, kindness, and understanding, instead of judgment, harshness, or shame. It means giving them the tools they need to make wise choices, all while maintaining a sense of compassion and respect for who they are as individuals. Grace in teaching, the power of kindness. There is a powerful story that illustrates this principle, a story I've heard countless times. It's the story of a mother and a child, though there is no specific name attached to it. It is, in a way, a story that could belong to any of us. A mother and her little boy were at the park, enjoying a lovely day together. The boy, full of energy, was running around, laughing and playing. In the middle of the game, he began to push and shove other children, trying to get his way. The mother saw this and immediately called him over. Now, many parents would have scolded their child right there in front of everyone. Some might have raised their voice, embarrassed or frustrated. But this mother did something different. She kneeled down to her son's level, looked him in the eyes, and with a calm voice said, "I know you're having fun, but you need to remember to be kind to others. It's important that we play with love, not force." The boy, feeling her warmth, looked down for a moment, his face softening. He realized his mistake. She then gently took his hand and led him back to the other children. Together, they apologized for his behavior. And in that moment, not only did the child learn a lesson about kindness, but the mother also demonstrated the incredible power of grace. This is the essence of teaching with grace. Instead of reacting out of anger or frustration, the mother took a step back and gave her son the chance to understand his mistake in a way that helped him learn. She showed him the importance of empathy and respect, not with harsh words, but through patience and love. The Bible's wisdom, a heart of mercy. This principle of teaching with grace is deeply rooted in biblical wisdom. Proverbs 3 verses 11 to 12 reminds us of the importance of correction, but it also shows us the loving nature of discipline. My son, do not despise the Lord's discipline, and do not resent his rebuke, because the Lord disciplines those he loves, as a father the son he delights in. Proverbs 3 verses 11 to 12, NIV. In this passage, we see that discipline is not an act of punishment, it's an act of love. The Lord disciplines those he loves, not out of anger or frustration, but because he desires for us to learn, grow, and become more aligned with his will. As parents, we are called to do the same. Our discipline should be an extension of our love, not a means of exerting control or authority. It is about correction, yes, but also about teaching our children the value of making better choices. This is a challenging principle because it requires us to take a step back and remember that our children are in the process of learning. They may make mistakes, but those mistakes do not define them. Just as the Lord disciplines us with a heart of mercy, we must discipline our children with grace. Practical application: how to teach with grace. Stay calm. One of the hardest aspects of parenting is staying calm when your child misbehaves. But it's essential. Reacting in anger only leads to regret. When you're calm, you're able to think clearly, guide your child, and show them how to make amends without overreacting. Take a deep breath before you speak. It gives you time to choose your words wisely. Use gentle words. Words can build up or tear down. They have immense power. When you're teaching your child a lesson, avoid harsh language or threats. Instead, use gentle words that explain the behavior and its consequences. When you hit your brother, it hurts him. We don't hurt people, we show kindness and respect. These simple, clear words teach children about the right behavior in a loving way. Be consistent. Graceful teaching requires consistency. Children thrive when they know what to expect. If you discipline them for a certain behavior today, be sure to do so consistently in the future. This helps them understand the boundaries in a loving, predictable way. It isn't about being perfect, it's about being steady and reliable in your approach. Teach through example. Children often learn the most from what they see. Your actions speak louder than words. If you want your child to show kindness, you must show kindness. If you want them to be patient, model patience in your daily life. Our actions often have more power than our words, so be the kind of person you want your child to become. Correct with love. In moments when correction is needed, do so with love, not anger. Take the opportunity to teach rather than punish. Teach them the why behind their actions, not just the what or how. For instance, instead of saying, "Don't raise your voice," you can say, "It's important to speak kindly to others. Why don't we try to speak softly and listen when they speak?" A personal story, a moment of grace. I remember a moment with my own child, one that taught me a profound lesson about teaching with grace. My daughter, around 5 years old at the time, had a habit of interrupting people when they were talking. One day, during a family dinner, she interrupted me as I was speaking to my husband. I was tired, and my patience was wearing thin, but I remembered the principle of grace. Instead of snapping at her or raising my voice, I paused and said, "Sweetheart, it's not polite to interrupt others. Can you wait until I finish, and then I'll be happy to hear what you want to say?" Her face softened, and she nodded. She had interrupted not out of disrespect, but because she was excited to share something. I realized then that my role wasn't just to correct her behavior, it was to guide her with compassion and understanding, to give her the tools she needed to improve. The grace I showed her in that moment helped her feel safe to express herself without fear of punishment. Teaching with grace leads to lasting change. Teaching with grace doesn't just change a child's behavior, it shapes their heart. When we discipline our children with grace, they learn not just the how of good behavior but the why. They learn that their actions affect others and that they have the power to choose kindness, empathy, and respect. Most importantly, they learn that love is the foundation of all our actions, even discipline. As you continue to parent, remember that every moment is an opportunity to teach with grace. Whether it's a small correction or a larger life lesson, your child is watching how you respond. Will you respond in anger or in love? Will you correct them with harshness or with grace? By following this principle, you are not just correcting behavior, you are raising a child who understands the true value of compassion, kindness, and respect. And in doing so, you are preparing them for a lifetime of wisdom and goodness. Principle 3. Nurture their hearts. As parents, our ultimate goal isn't simply to guide our children toward good behavior or academic success. While these things are important, they are not the heart of the matter. The true essence of mindful parenting lies in nurturing the heart of your child, their emotional, spiritual, and mental well-being. This is the third principle of mindful parenting: nurture their hearts. This principle is about more than just teaching children how to behave. It's about cultivating a sense of inner peace, self-worth, and love within them. It's about building their character, shaping their values, and helping them develop a strong sense of empathy, kindness, and purpose. But how do we nurture the heart of a child in a world that constantly pulls them in different directions? The heart of a child, a story of compassion. Let me begin with a story that beautifully illustrates the importance of nurturing a child's heart. This is the story of a young boy named Eli. Eli was a curious and sensitive child, always asking questions, exploring the world, and trying to make sense of the complexities of life. His parents, Martha and Jacob, were both hardworking and loving, but they often got caught up in the hustle and bustle of daily life. They were busy with work, house chores, and taking care of the daily necessities. Eli, however, had a heart that was sensitive to the emotional climate around him. He could pick up on his parents' stress and frustrations. One day, Eli's father came home from work after a particularly long and difficult day. He was tired and worn out. He snapped at Eli for making a mess with his toys. His words were harsh and his tone sharp. Eli's small face fell, and he looked down at the ground. Martha saw this and immediately took Eli by the hand, leading him to a quiet room away from the tension. "Eli," she said softly, "I want you to know that your daddy loves you. But sometimes, when we're tired, we may say things we don't mean. What happened wasn't your fault. We all have tough days, and it's okay to feel upset. But it's also important to remember to be kind, even when we feel like we don't want to be." She sat with him for a moment, allowing him to feel her warmth and understanding. She didn't just explain the situation, she nurtured his heart, helping him understand both his father's behavior and how to navigate his own emotions. When Eli returned to his father later that evening, he was still sad but understood that his father's actions were not a reflection of how he felt about him. The next day, Jacob apologized to Eli, explaining that he was wrong to snap at him and that he loved him very much. This small act of reconciliation, combined with Martha's nurturing, helped Eli heal and understand the importance of empathy, forgiveness, and emotional intelligence. This story highlights the importance of nurturing a child's heart. It's not just about addressing their behavior or the immediate conflict. It's about tending to their emotional and spiritual needs, teaching them to understand their feelings and how to process them in a healthy way. When we nurture their hearts, we equip them to be resilient, kind, and emotionally balanced individuals. The Bible's wisdom, a heart of understanding. The Bible has much to say about nurturing the heart. One of the most beautiful passages is from the book of Proverbs. "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." Proverbs 4 verse 23, NIV. This verse reminds us that the heart is the core of who we are. It's the seat of our emotions, our decisions, and our character. If we nurture a child's heart, we're not just shaping their behavior, we're shaping their inner world, their thoughts, attitudes, and values. The emotional health of a child is just as important as their physical well-being, and as parents, it is our responsibility to guard and guide their hearts. In Matthew 18 verse 3, Jesus says, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." Matthew 18 verse 3, NIV. This verse speaks to the pure, unguarded hearts of children. Children in their innocence are naturally attuned to love, kindness, and joy. As parents, we have the privilege and the responsibility to nurture these qualities in our children so they can grow into adults who understand the power of compassion, kindness, and forgiveness. Jesus, throughout his ministry, showed immense care and compassion toward children, often taking the time to bless them, teach them, and validate their worth. This is the model we should follow in nurturing the hearts of our own children, by affirming their value, acknowledging their feelings, and guiding them with love. Practical application: how to nurture your child's heart. So, how do we put this principle into practice in our everyday lives? How can we nurture the hearts of our children so that they grow into emotionally strong and compassionate individuals? Affirm their worth. Every child needs to know that they are loved unconditionally. This affirmation should not be based on their behavior or achievements, but on who they are as a person. Make it a habit to tell your child you love them, not just in moments of praise, but in everyday moments. "I love you because you are you." Create a safe emotional space. Children need to feel safe expressing their emotions. When they experience fear, anger, or sadness, it's essential that we validate those emotions instead of dismissing them. Allow them to feel what they feel, but guide them on how to handle those emotions constructively. Teach them that it's okay to feel angry, but it's not okay to hurt others when they're upset. Model emotional health. Children learn by example. Show them how to manage stress, frustration, and disappointment in healthy ways. Practice self-care and emotional regulation. When children see you handling difficult emotions with grace, they learn to do the same. Encourage empathy. Teach your child to consider the feelings of others. Help them understand how their words and actions can affect people. Teach them the importance of apologizing and seeking forgiveness when they've hurt someone. Lead by example, showing empathy in your own interactions with others. Listen to them. Sometimes children just need to be heard. In our busy lives, it can be easy to overlook their small concerns, but listening to your child shows them that their thoughts and feelings matter. Take the time to engage in meaningful conversations with your child, even if it's about something seemingly insignificant. Cultivate a spirit of gratitude. Teach your children to focus on the blessings in their lives. A grateful heart is a joyful heart. Encourage them to express gratitude daily, whether for small moments or big blessings. Teach them to see the good in people and the world around them. A personal story. The importance of healing a child's heart. I remember a moment with my son Ethan, who was about 6 years old at the time. He had been going through a phase of feeling insecure about his ability to make friends at school. One evening, after a particularly tough day, he broke down in tears. "I'm not good enough," he said, his voice trembling. "Nobody likes me." My heart broke for him, and I knew this was a crucial moment. I could have brushed it off as a phase or a silly thing to be upset about. But instead, I took him in my arms, held him close, and said, "Ethan, I know you're feeling hurt right now, and it's okay to feel that way. But I want you to know something. You are loved. You are worthy of friendship, and you are amazing just as you are. We'll work through this together." That night, we talked about his feelings, and we prayed together for God's guidance in his relationships. The next day, I saw a noticeable difference in his attitude. He walked into school with more confidence, knowing that his value wasn't dependent on the approval of others. By nurturing his heart in that moment, I helped him build emotional resilience and a sense of self-worth that carried him through difficult times. This is the power of nurturing a child's heart. It isn't just about making them feel better in the moment. It's about equipping them with the emotional tools to face life's challenges. Nurture their hearts, the key to lasting influence. When we nurture our children's hearts, we are laying the foundation for their entire lives. We are teaching them to love themselves, to love others, and to approach the world with empathy and compassion. The heart of a child is incredibly resilient, but it needs to be nurtured with intention and care. As you continue your journey as a parent, remember this principle: nurture their hearts. Build them up, affirm their worth, and guide them with love. When you nurture your child's heart, you are preparing them for a future filled with hope, kindness, and emotional strength. Principle 4. Lead with love. The fourth principle of mindful parenting is a powerful one, and it's simple yet profound: lead with love. This principle encompasses the idea that as parents, we are not merely guides, but also leaders in our children's lives. The way we lead, the decisions we make, and the love we show all set the example for how our children will lead their own lives in the future. Leadership in parenting isn't about being domineering or strict. It's about nurturing with intentional love. Leading with love means making decisions that show care, patience, and kindness while also upholding boundaries and principles that help our children grow. It means actively showing them how to lead a life filled with love and integrity. But how do we lead with love in such a fast-paced, demanding world? Let's explore this principle through the lens of real-life stories, biblical wisdom, and practical guidance. The power of a parent's example. Let me start with a story about a father named Thomas and his daughter, Anna. Thomas was a busy man. He was a businessman, often working long hours, and he had little time to engage in personal activities outside of work. Despite his professional success, he often felt disconnected from his family, especially Anna, who was going through a challenging phase in her teenage years. Anna was rebellious, always questioning his authority and challenging the boundaries he tried to set. One evening, Thomas returned home after a particularly stressful day at work. His mind was preoccupied with a business deal that wasn't going as planned. As he walked through the door, he noticed Anna sitting in the living room, texting on her phone, seemingly uninterested in anything around her. His initial instinct was to reprimand her for being so absorbed in her phone, but he paused. Instead of reacting out of frustration, he took a deep breath, smiled softly, and sat next to her. "Anna, how was your day?" he asked, his voice calm but sincere. She looked up, surprised by his gentle approach. For the first time in a long while, she opened up to him about her feelings of pressure, insecurity, and the struggles she was facing with her friends. In that moment, Thomas didn't just listen, he led with love. He reassured her that it was okay to feel overwhelmed sometimes, and that she didn't need to have everything figured out. He reminded her of her worth and the values that had always been a part of their family, values like honesty, respect, and perseverance. Later that evening, Anna went to bed feeling lighter, her heart lifted by her father's genuine love and understanding. She wasn't just given rules, she was led with love and grace. And through his leadership, Anna learned an important lesson. Not only was she loved unconditionally, but she also felt more connected to her father than ever before. This story highlights the importance of leading with love, especially in moments when it's easy to react with frustration or anger. Leading with love means showing your children that they are not just subjects of authority, but individuals worthy of your respect and understanding. It's about showing them compassion, leading them through example, and creating an environment where they feel safe, seen, and heard. Biblical wisdom: love as the foundation of leadership. The Bible speaks powerfully about love and leadership. In 1 Corinthians 13, we find one of the most well-known passages on love. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. 1 Corinthians 13 verses 4-7, NIV. This scripture is a beautiful depiction of what it means to lead with love. Patience, kindness, humility, and forgiveness. These are the foundations of leading with love. As parents, if we can embody these qualities, we show our children what love truly looks like in action. We are not only telling them to love others, but we are modeling love in the way we speak to them, the way we discipline them, and the way we navigate life together. In Ephesians 5 verses 1-2, Paul writes, "Follow God's example, therefore, as dearly loved children, and walk in the way of love, just as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God." Ephesians 5 verses 1-2, NIV. This verse reminds us that as parents, we are called to follow God's example of sacrificial love. Christ's love for us is a model of selflessness, care, and sacrifice. Leading with love means putting our children's needs first, even when it requires sacrifice. It's about reflecting Christ's love through our actions, decisions, and words. When we lead with love, we teach our children to do the same. Practical application: how to lead with love. Leading with love requires intentional action. It's not a passive process, it takes commitment and heart. Here are some practical ways you can lead with love in your parenting journey. Be present in the moment. It's easy to get distracted by the pressures of daily life, work, bills, commitments. But leading with love requires us to be fully present with our children. Take the time to listen to them, engage with them, and make them feel valued. When we are present, we demonstrate love in a way that words alone cannot express. Led by example, children learn by watching us. If we want our children to embody love, patience, and kindness, we must first model these qualities ourselves. Show them what it means to be loving, even in difficult situations. Be kind when things are hard, and show grace when things don't go according to plan. Set boundaries with love. Leadership also involves setting boundaries that are healthy and loving. Boundaries show children what is safe and acceptable, but they should always be communicated with care and understanding. Explain the reasons behind the rules, and involve your children in the decision-making process whenever possible. Encourage and uplift. Be your child's biggest cheerleader. Celebrate their successes, no matter how big or small, and encourage them when they face challenges. Leading with love means believing in their potential and lifting them up with positive reinforcement. Help them see their worth and teach them to embrace their unique gifts. Serve with selflessness. True leadership is about service. Show your child what it means to serve others by looking for opportunities to help those in need. Whether it's serving in your community, helping a neighbor, or simply lending a hand to a family member, your actions speak louder than words. Teach your children that leadership is not about being in charge, but about serving others with humility and love. Embrace unconditional love. Leading with love means loving your children through their mistakes, flaws, and imperfections. Don't just love them when they meet your expectations, but love them even when they fall short. Unconditional love teaches them that they are always worthy of love, no matter what. A personal story, leading with love in tough times. Let me share a personal story that truly shaped my understanding of this principle. There was a time when my daughter, Grace, was struggling with a decision that could have a significant impact on her future. She had been offered a scholarship to a prestigious art school, but she wasn't sure if she wanted to pursue it. She was afraid of disappointing us, and she was grappling with self-doubt. As her parents, we wanted to encourage her, but we also knew that the decision had to come from her heart. So, we decided to lead with love. We gave her the space to talk through her feelings without judgment, and we assured her that, whatever choice she made, we would support her. It wasn't about pushing her in one direction or another. It was about showing her that her happiness and well-being mattered most. After many heart-to-heart conversations, Grace decided to pursue the scholarship, and we couldn't have been more proud of her. But what stood out to me was how the process of leading with love, of listening and supporting her without pressure, helped her find her own path. Led with love, the ultimate gift. Leading with love is one of the greatest gifts we can give our children. It teaches them not only how to lead others, but also how to lead themselves. It empowers them to act with integrity, make thoughtful decisions, and live lives filled with compassion. So, as you walk this parenting journey, remember to lead with love. Led by example, listen with your heart, and show your children that love is not just a feeling but an action, a choice we make every day. Principle 5. Discipline with grace. As parents, one of our most challenging responsibilities is discipline. How do we correct and guide our children while still nurturing their hearts? How do we ensure they learn from their mistakes without feeling rejected or unloved? The fifth principle of mindful parenting teaches us to discipline with grace, to approach correction not with anger, frustration, or control, but with patience, wisdom, and love. It's about striking the delicate balance between setting firm boundaries and showing kindness, just as God does with us. A lesson in discipline. Let's start with a story about a mother named Rachel and her 5-year-old son, Jonah. Jonah was a bright and curious child, but like most kids, he had a mischievous streak. One afternoon, Rachel had baked a fresh batch of cookies, setting them on the counter to cool. Before leaving the kitchen, she told Jonah, "These are for later, sweetheart. Please don't touch them yet." But as soon as she stepped out, Jonah's little hands found their way to the cookies. When Rachel returned, she found him with crumbs on his face, avoiding her gaze. Now Rachel had two choices. She could yell at him, scold him for disobeying, and make him feel ashamed. Or, she could discipline with grace, correcting his behavior while also teaching him a valuable lesson. She knelt to his level and gently asked, "Jonah, did you take a cookie even though Mommy asked you not to?" His eyes welled with tears. He nodded. Instead of reacting with frustration, Rachel used this moment to teach. "Jonah, I love you no matter what, but taking something after I said no is not okay. We need to respect the rules, even when it's hard." Then she asked, "What do you think we should do now?" Jonah hesitated before whispering, "Say sorry?" Rachel smiled and hugged him. "That's right. And next time, I know you'll make a better choice." Jonah learned an important lesson that day, not just about rules, but about taking responsibility for his actions. Because his mother disciplined him with grace, he felt safe to admit his mistake and grow from it. The biblical approach to discipline. The Bible provides wisdom on how to correct with love. Fathers, do not embitter your children, or they will become discouraged. Colossians 3 verse 21, NIV. This verse reminds us that discipline should not crush a child's spirit. Correction should guide, not shame. It should teach, not tear down. Another verse tells us, "The Lord disciplines the one he loves." Hebrews 12 verse 6, NIV. God's discipline comes from his love for us. In the same way, our discipline should stem from a desire to shape our children's hearts, not just control their behavior. Practical ways to discipline with grace. Stay calm, never discipline in anger. If emotions are running high, take a moment to breathe before responding. A calm response is always more effective than a reactive one. Explain the why. Instead of just saying no, or because I said so, explain why a rule exists. This helps children internalize values rather than just follow orders. Use consequences, not punishment. Natural consequences teach better than harsh punishments. If a child refuses to put away their toys, they lose the privilege of playing with them for a while. Teach accountability. Encourage children to take responsibility for their actions by asking reflective questions like, "What could you do differently next time?" Reaffirm love. Always reassure your child that your love for them is never dependent on their behavior. They need to know that even when they make mistakes, they are deeply loved. When we discipline with grace, we show our children that making mistakes is part of learning, but our love for them never wavers. Principle 6. Speak life into your child. Words of power. The way we speak to our children can either build them up or break them down. This principle, speak life into your child, teaches us to use words that encourage, uplift, and empower. Our words shape how our children see themselves and their potential. The story of Jacob and his father. Jacob grew up with a father who rarely praised him. His dad was a hard worker, always pushing Jacob to do better, but his words were often harsh. "You need to work harder," he would say. "You'll never succeed if you keep making mistakes." Even though Jacob knew his father cared for him, he never felt truly seen or valued. Over time, he began to believe that he wasn't good enough. His father's words had planted a seed of self-doubt in his heart. It wasn't until years later, when he became a father himself, that Jacob realized the impact of words. Determined to break the cycle, he spoke life into his own children. He told them, "I see how hard you're trying. I'm proud of you." He reminded them, "You are strong. You are loved. You are enough." And with each word of encouragement, he saw their confidence bloom. Biblical wisdom on the power of words. The tongue has the power of life and death. Proverbs 18 verse 21, NIV. This verse reminds us that our words hold incredible power. What we say can either lift our children's spirits or crush them. Practical ways to speak life into your child. Encourage, don't criticize. Instead of saying, "You never listen," try, "I appreciate it when you listen carefully." Celebrate effort, not just success. Praise their hard work, not just their achievements. "I love how hard you tried," teaches them that effort matters. Affirm their worth. Regularly tell your children they are loved, capable, and valuable. Correct with kindness. When they make mistakes, guide them with gentle words rather than harsh criticism. Pray over them. Speak God's blessings over them, reminding them of His love and purpose for their lives. When we choose to speak life, we create a home where our children feel safe, seen, and deeply loved. Conclusion: love as the foundation of parenting. As we come to the end of this journey, one truth remains clear. Parenting is an act of love. Each of these principles, being present, listening with empathy, leading with love, disciplining with grace, and speaking life, flows from a heart rooted in love. Parenting is not about perfection. There will be days when we fall short, when patience wears thin, when mistakes are made. But through it all, love remains the guiding force. When we love as God loves, when we lead with grace and wisdom, we create a home where our children can flourish, not just in behavior, but in their hearts and souls. So, as you continue your parenting journey, remember this. All you need is love. Love deeply. Lead with kindness. Speak life. And trust that, in the end, your love will be the greatest gift you ever give your child. Thank you for listening.